Are you serious? Serious, guys. Welcome to the broadcast. Oh, I'm getting an echo here. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Pastor Paul Begley, and today we're going to find out just how low can it go. But the next question is, can it go higher? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to bring in the guys that can help make it happen. A couple of great brothers in the Lord here. Let's bring them in right now. This is Dr. Bruce Fong and Ron Oliver. And just real quick, both these gentlemen, Dr. Bruce Fong is a medical director of Sierra Integrative Medical Center and Neutronics Labs. And Ron Oliver is a health and wellness coach. And they've got a very extensive background, both of them. So they know exactly what happens with men about age 40 on. So let's just jump in. Guys, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
First time to meet both of you. And so glad that you guys are with us here today. So, all right. So what is the testosterone crisis that we are seeing in men today? What is it?
Well, I think I'll lead off. So let's look at this. The easiest example to give you, there's actually a study that was done on data from 2018 compared to data from the late 80s and early 90s, where they were actually recording testosterone levels in men and at various age groups. And all the way across the board, every single demographic and category, men are anywhere from 20, 30, even 40% lower now, if you call 2018 now, versus they were back then. And you look at that correspondingly. How do you? I'm not trying to bag on anybody because we're not trying to be judgmental here. But the point is that men don't quite look like men the way they used to. Look at guys back in the early 80s and late 80s and early 90s, and you see guys like who were kind of the role models I grew up with, and they were all the big buff guys, and whatever. But the bottom line was, back then we were as guys, we were all a little bit more muscular, we're a little bit more. A little more built. We were a little more, I don't want to say forceful, but I think that we were very more in tune with our opinions and being able to express those things. And I think that we're losing a lot of those things. Plus now we're idiotically, we're seeing things like, as a physician, I'm seeing guys in their 20s needing erectile function help, which really scares me. That shouldn't be an issue. I see guys who are going to the gym and having problems putting on muscle who are young guys. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's something really wrong here. And, all in all, men are not the way that we were before. And certainly we do see that there's been, shall we say, an emasculation of things. And we can kind of get into that, but I'm going to ask my brother in Christ here, Ron, that tell me some of your experiences.
Well, in the 35 years I've been a health and fitness expert, I can tell you that testosterone has just been tanked. Men are becoming feminized, and it's the lowest it's ever been. And what's worse than that, this is a global problem, but the worst places in the world for low testosterone is Canada, United States. Canadian males and American males have the lowest testosterone in the world.
Is it the environment? Is it affected the DNA of men? I mean,
it's a lot to do with the lifestyle, not getting outdoors, working, getting fresh air, sunlight, grounding. It's a lot to do with the forever chemicals that we're being polluted with, microplastics, feminizing food. Men are not eating anabolic foods that are healthy and nutritious. They're eating a lot of processed garbage, carbohydrates full of chemicals. And all in all, the water, the bottled water, the plastics, it has tanked men's testosterone. Some men are showing up with like a quarter of the testosterone they're supposed to have. And this is why they're losing muscle mass, bone density. And today, men do not look like men anymore, most of them.
I mean, and I would echo what Ron's saying, that we have a whole world that's literally tanking our testosterone. Ron touched on the plastics and the feminizing things. I mean, very specifically, breakdown products of plastics like phthalates are being implicated, pesticides, all these things sabotage our ability to make testosterone. But like Ron was saying, we have a lot of feminizing agents out there. I mean, we see all kinds of estrogenic things that are being used in our food sources,
Absolutely.
hormones that are given to, say, like livestock, to make the livestock bigger, and you get
Right.
more, they sell in the market. Those are primarily estrogenic, so that they're actually running that way.
Oh.
And you heard the terms that Ron and I laugh about this. They heard the term soy boy, and we
Yeah.
make fun of that, but the god awful truth is, soy grown here in the Americas, as opposed to soy grown in Asia, actually has estrogenic properties. It actually feminizes us, which is crazy, because when we say that, we're talking about interfering with how testosterone works in our body, as well as minimizing the production of that testosterone. And but here's the even scarier part. There is a societal threat to men about their testosterone being, quote unquote, toxically masculine. Now, the term,
it's a cultural.
you know where that term came from? It was from
Where?
Okay, well, they took it from, get this, a psychiatric study of the Georgia penal system looking at sex offenders. That was never meant to be applied to men in general. They were talking about criminally insane people, and they're applying that term to the general populace, which is completely erroneous, completely unacceptable. I mean, in medical practice, we just don't apply a label to everybody. That's to have people who are uneducated, who are trying to push an agenda, in this case, trying to literally make us less men. They've used a terminology that has nothing, there's no basis for it in the general population of men. If you are in a specific population where you're psychiatrically ill and doing everything from sex crimes or whatever it was that they were looking at, then that applies. But it doesn't apply to men in general. Toxic masculinity as a whole in the general populace does not exist. Let me say it again. Toxic masculinity does not exist in the general populace. Men are meant to be men. And I love being on the show here, Pastor Paul, because I guess our audience is like-minded. We're all brothers in Christ. But if we look at the Bible, men were meant to be the head of the household. Men are meant to be strong. They're meant to express their opinions. It's not to minimize women at all, but that was the way that it was set up before, because we're the providers, we're the defenders, we're the ones that provide the strength. That is taking us away from what the word says. So that alone, there's another reference there that tells us this is wrong. So again, there's a whole environment that's bringing us down. And when guys accept that, well, guess what? Your psyche plays back into, in other words, the neurologic system plays back into the endocrine system. There's a neuroendocrine collection, as we always call that. And that's really through something called the hypothalamus, and then the pituitary gland, the master gland. It starts to minimize production of testosterone.
Wow.
We're not sure how that works, but it actually works.
Psychologically, it can affect a man's ability to produce testosterone if he's not. We need to think like men. We need to be strong. We need to be defenders. We need to be providers. But let's talk about it from a medical standpoint as well. About age 40, men's testosterone levels naturally start to decline 1-2% a year. This is absolutely a fact. We don't need any contributing factors. We don't need any plastics. We don't need any chemicals hurting us. So let me ask you, why is it so important that, and how can we keep that testosterone from falling too rapidly? How can we prevent it?
Let me share this. It's actually not natural. It's unnatural, but it's normal.
Okay.
It should not be happening. I'm not suffering from low testosterone.
So you're saying it could never go down. That's just
it's toxic lifestyles. Okay. So you can go to Siberia, Russia right now, or Uzbekistan, and they still have very high levels of testosterone like we did 60 years ago in America, because they're living a very different lifestyle. They're not being exposed to all these phthalates, all these chemicals, microplastics. It's a totally different way of living over there. And if you look at the UFC, you'll see some of the guys coming from certain areas of Russia, and they're whooping everybody's butt in the UFC. That's because they have very high levels of testosterone. They haven't become weakened from low testosterone. Low testosterone causes low bone density, muscle density. You lose strength. You start growing man boobs. You lose your natural ability to be a good protector. You lose your discipline, your drive, your ambition. You're not dangerous anymore if you need to be dangerous to protect your wife and children. This is a huge problem for society, not just for men.
And so you're saying that this is actually taking place in different regions of the world. The levels of testosterone is varying greatly. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
So it's primarily chemicals or environmental, but
the three main problems,
way of life.
The three main problems are a lack of cellular energy, cellular toxicity, and malnutrition. And so we can change our lifestyle, so therefore we can fix this problem.
Dr. Fong?
So yeah, I'm going to add on to that.
Yeah.
So let me add on to what Ron said too, because I'm of Chinese heritage, even though I was born and raised here in the United States. But traditionally, Chinese people and other people around the world, they realized that they didn't necessarily call it testosterone back then, but they realized things were not working as well. And so they did, they did all kinds of things like herbal remedies to increase their vitality, increase their virility, and literally do what we call in modern vernacular anti-aging. It's basically simply replenishing either directly or indirectly those things in our body that, as you were mentioning, Paul, how, they reach a point where they start to, you don't have enough to keep up with everything else in your body. And like Ron says, it doesn't have to be the case. It's what we consider quote unquote normal, but it doesn't have to be the case. It can be fixed. And that's why we can talk about some of these things today. We probably should. We have some time. If we have some time here, I'd love to tell people why it's even more. But, I mean, you guys realize that people don't talk about this. Everybody just talks about, hey, muscle mass, our sexual potency, that kind of thing with testosterone. But did you realize that cognitively, your memory actually starts to decline and it gets worse when your testosterone's lower? There are numerous studies that show this, that especially with things like spatial memory and things like being able to have a recall, and maybe I'm running a little low here, I'm kidding, having a recall and things like that, men who have lower testosterone have worsening problems. And interesting enough, in the one study, when they've actually supplemented men, these were men all 60 to 70 years old, when they supplemented their testosterone, they actually saw improvements in cognitive function and memory in those men. There's also, you think about other health effects, cardiovascular risk, meaning heart attack and stroke, actually goes up after the age of 50 in both sexes. Well, we know for a fact that when women start to go through menopause, their estrogen's too low. They have actually a threefold increase in the risk for heart attack and stroke. Men kind of go through the same thing, maybe not as drastic, but the risk definitely goes up when our testosterone levels start to go down.
As the testosterone level goes down, the risk of a heart attack or a stroke goes up.
Absolutely.
And we're not really, but exercise important, right, Ron? I mean, because you got to keep the muscles going, you got to keep the cardiovascular and your respiratory going.
Absolutely.
But Dr. Fong, you also mentioned cognitive effects. Does lower testosterone affect our memory, our ability to cognitively keep up with everybody else?
It's both the memory and being able to function, interact, and be able to do what you're doing on an everyday basis. And there's multiple theories. There's direct stimulation of the neurologic tissue with the testosterone itself. There's other theories because the cardiovascular health part of it is keeping the blood vessels strong and open. So again, if you get better blood flow to the brain, which a lot of people, when they talk about dementia, they always think Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is actually not the most common form of dementia or memory loss. It's actually loss of blood flow to the brain. So this is a big deal here, that if you have the testosterone there, that actually there's some apparent effect to keeping the blood vessels even better. And there's another thing we'll talk about later with talking about growth factors in the body, which play a much more direct role with that. When you put these two things together, these are all things that decline as we age. They don't need to be left low. We can replenish these. So I'm giving you guys hints as where we're going with this. Think about this as well. Metabolic function. I hate this terminology, but my colleagues in the medical world, hey, diseases of aging. Hey, you're gonna have insulin resistance. You're gonna have high blood pressure. You're gonna have this and that, and high cholesterol. So that's automatic, guys. It doesn't
No.
have to be automatic. Yeah, genetically, some of us are not are lined up because of our parents, but we love our parents, we love our ancestry. It's not a big deal. We can fix this. Okay, but we don't have to go to all the nasty drugs to fix this. We can do the things naturally by putting in these growth factors, for instance, which we're going to talk about. Testosterone itself, because you're keeping muscle mass up, you're actually having active tissue instead of lots of fat, which is inactive tissue. So guess what? Insulin resistance goes down. You actually take yourself away from a risk of developing diabetes. So these things are all there.
So Ron, you're the guy that helps people build. You've been in the gym, you've worked in the gyms your whole life. You've been in you believe and you are able to help people build the mass. Let me ask you, has anyone ever had a blood test and have a testosterone level, then start working out with Ron Oliver or with, in the gym? Does the testosterone level go up?
Absolutely. You can stimulate testosterone production if you train certain ways. There's ways to use exercise to boost testosterone, but you still have to be eating healthy if you want that to happen. You can't eat garbage and expect to see amazing results in the gym. And what I do, we work with microscopes. We do live blood morphology analysis. So we actually look at the blood and we see the evidence of the health issues that people have in their blood. And I give people a fitness assessment. So I put them through a series of exercises just to test where they're at. And it's unbelievable how weak men have become in our modern world. I've been watching men become weaker and weaker, poorer health for the last 35 years in the business. And up until 4 months ago, when I came across Neutronics Labs, it would take me a good 3 to 6 months to even begin to really start to significantly change the testosterone levels, the other hormone levels in the body with men by, proper nutrition, detoxification, and exercise. And when I came across Neutronics Labs, I started being fascinated with the evidence that they had on the last 25 years being in business and all of the proof that was there. So I immediately had a conversation with the owner, phenomenal guy. He's ex-military man, special forces, 25-year-old company, family, run company, and great guy. We got along great right off the bat. And he sent me some product. I experienced it. And I was using all of the same ingredients that are in these products, except for one, which is IGF-1, which we'll talk about. And the Dr. Fong will explain better than me. But I was using all those proven ancient ingredients in these formulas from other companies since I was 55. I'm now 58. Wow. And I went off everything I was using so I could experience this product on its own. And the first month blew my mind because we're talking about 98% bioavailability. The absorption is off the charts. There's nothing like it in the world. That's why I said to the owner, I said, look, Rick, I would love to work with you, promote this, because every man needs to know about Neutronics Labs. Every man in our modern world needs these products to naturally enhance their hormone production of growth hormone, IGF-1, IGF-2, and testosterone, and start feeling like a man again. Yeah. I've only put 20 of my clients on the products. I only put clients on products once I'm convinced that it's safe and effective, and I'm using it myself for a while. And all 20 of my clients, the male clients I have it on, and I have a couple of female clients on it too, because they have female products, which Dr. Fong will explain. Everyone is getting absolutely dramatic results with their libido, gaining lean muscle mass, better cognitive function, sleeping better, way more energy. And they're all telling me I feel like a man again. I'm talking about guys that are in their 50s, haven't woke up with a Mr. Happy, you know what I'm saying, since they were young, and they're waking up extra happy and within a week. So every man out there needs to know about Neutronics Labs.
Okay, Dr. Fong, please help me. Neutronics Lab, and guys, see the link below. Click on the link below right now as we're talking. Go right now to neutronicslabs.com/Paul and use the promo code Paul. And what is this IGF that he's talking about? This enhancement of this product, and help us understand why it's working.
So So IGF is insulin-like growth factor 1. It is kind of the main motivator of what we see from human growth hormone, from what most people associate with human growth hormone. But we're not talking about a solitary, isolated IGF-1. We're actually talking about deer antler velvet. And so, again, my throwing kudos to my tradition for 3,000 years. We've got deer antler in Chinese medicine. That's only the second to ginseng being used all the time.
Deer antler.
Deer antler. And there's this thing, and trust me, when I was a little kid, I got dragged in there by my grandparents. I'm like going, everything else is like, he has this, and that, but they always grab the deer antler. Why? Because they recognized that from the deer antler, you had the ability to recover faster from disease. You had the ability to recover faster from injury. And then later on, as we aged, you kept the older folks stronger and better because that deer antler was there, keeping their vitality going. Let's fast forward now to the modern the 20th century, when we first started looking at this more scientifically. The deer antler itself is specifically the growing deer antler. So it's not static antler that's just sitting there. But again, remember, deer lose their antlers every year. They grow a whole new set in the springtime within 110 days. In that growing matrix of the antler is a gelatinous, brownish substance that's a growth matrix. Once it dries out, we call it a velvet or of an antler. But the bottom line is that as the antler grows, the tips basically have this matrix that allows it to continue to grow further. I mean, further down at the base of the antler, it's becoming more like bone. So the further out you get, you'll find that if you essentially, what we call it with the deer that Neutronics utilizes, which is a huge flock in New Zealand. They're all free range, everything's organic. You give them essentially what our founder likes to call a haircut. Cut the tips off, and as long as you don't cut it too far down, it's sustainable. It continues to grow. And when you take the little tips and you simply vacuum it out, and Ron's big about this next part, you simply cold press it. You don't do anything else but squeeze it out of there. You don't denature it by heating it. Don't do anything else to it. And you have a growth matrix of all these growth factors that are the exact same growth factors as what you have in your body when you have the presence of human growth hormones. So this is the biggest breakthrough, if you want to think about it, that it's all natural. It's the proverbial fountain of youth, if you want to call it that. It is the 100%. Thing that allows us to do everything. And again, remember, there's insulin-like growth factor 1, the IGF-1, which we talk about, all kinds of benefits, including, rejuvenative effects, protective effects for various tissues, and in particular, healing, recovery, all those things are there. Wow. Being able to put on muscles on there, burn up fats on there. But you got IGF-2, neurotropins, which are more for nerves. You have collagen for soft tissue that's in there. You have these certain fatty acids, linoleic acid. All these things are recently in a study in longevity have been shown that when you utilize these organic acids, they actually improve neuroprotectiveness, improve the ability to rejuvenate. You have things like bone morphogenic growth factors. You have all these different growth factors, all the different tissues in your body. So I'm going to try to summarize the rest, but I don't want to bore you guys. But realize this is from God. It's His perfect design, because there's growth factors that prevent abnormal growth. So this is not going to put you down the cancer route. This is something that you can use and build yourself up.
This is not a synthetic approach. This is natural. You're taking the tips of the antlers of deers, just cutting off the tips of it, squeezing out the extracts, and it's a natural, and it's the actual regenerating power. Okay, Ron. Now that you started using it, you always worked out. You've ate good. You got protein guy. You got all the supplements. But when you started using this by Neutronics Labs, did you basically instantly felt a supercharge? I mean, what are you talking about, Ron?
Yeah, literally. Let me tell you something. I have a very extreme nutritional lifestyle. My whole program is extreme. They call me the food Nazi, my friends, okay, because I'm so strict. And I'm doing everything you can possibly do to eat clean, all the best organic whole foods. I'm taking the best supplements money can buy to replenish my body and maintain a good health. I haven't been sick in 30 years. And I am very disciplined about my lifestyle, because this is my life, right? Taking care of my body is very important, right? If we're all believers, and we believe in God, then we know God says, glorify me with your body, soul, and spirit, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to glorify God if I'm fat and sick. So I'm doing everything you can possibly do with my nutrition, my water intake. I even have the best air purification in my house. What else could I do? I didn't think it get any better than this, and I don't have a problem with low testosterone, and I work out regularly. And then I came across Neutronics Labs literally after praying to God to show me the best anti-aging products on the planet. That's a true story.
Wow.
Shortly afterwards, I meet the owner, Rick Lentini, and the next thing you know, I'm talking to Dr. Fong, and I'm learning all this stuff, and I go on the products. The very first dose under my tongue, I held it for 30 seconds, and I began to feel things happening in my blood, literally that fast.
Right in the bloodstream. So
it goes into the blood in seconds, 98% bioavailability.
Okay, now tell us, Dr. Fong, how you take this? Is it you take it by drops? So, what do we do here? How do we get this going?
So all the growth factor stuff, the deer antler, is sublingually introduced in the body. So it has to be that way for maximal absorption. When you take it orally, it's going to go through your stomach. It's not going to do much there because of your stomach acid's going to destroy the intestinal enzymes are going to destroy it. But we have remembered something that a modern medicine has kind of, on the most part, forgotten, that sorry, I can't talk with my tongue open. I'm sorry, that's kind of dumb. But anyway, the area underneath your tongue, what we call a sublingual route, there are guys, hopefully you can see that. You see that kind of bluish area?
Yeah.
There's a ton of blood vessels there. Those are the big veins, but they're tiny, almost microscopic little blood vessels called capillaries, which are absorptive beds. They exchange stuff. Modern medicine, the only thing we know about that is, hey, I got chest pain. Well, take those little tiny white little pellets we call nitroglycerin. Dilate the blood vessels, but we can't take them. I mean, they're longer acting forms we take orally, but if you took the one you want short acting, it's going to take too long to get in your bloodstream. So right through under that tongue is right into that bloodstream, and it resolves that chest pain within minutes, hopefully seconds. And so with that understanding, every Neutronics product that is liquid form, we got Man's Edge, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a second, which is specific for testosterone. Here is sorry, my camera's reversed.
No, there you go.
The IGF-1, this is the IGF-1 Plus, our flagship product, the main one we're just talking about right now with all the growth factors. And they are all delivered through a fat base, also known as liposomal-based delivery system, which enhances that absorption under the tongue. And Ron has so eloquently put in there, we've had third-party testers evaluate specifically the IGF-1 and a lot of the other ones. But we can definitely show you that the third-party certification shows greater than 98% absorption via that sublingual route, meaning that these growth factors, which are super fragile, they're tiny amounts in there, they're going to easily get destroyed. Otherwise, they're going right into your bloodstream and they're going to get utilized right away. So there's no better way to bring this in there. And, basically there's putting it in there. This is why Ron and, anybody else that I've ever used this on, like in my own patients for recovery and things like that, for various diseases that we treat here at our center, they all feel the benefit of this. And again, it is a huge benefit for recovery from long-term illness, from injury. Those are things that, from a more clinical sense, we're using them for. But realize the easiest way to think about this is that unless you actually need growth hormone, this is an excellent way to get all the benefits of growth hormone without taking thousands and thousands of dollars worth of shots every month. And again,
synthetic
stuff has to be converted into this.
It's an ancient natural approach that we've known about.
You can say it. I know where your mind was going. The ancient Chinese secret. You can say it. I'm not going to get offended.
Okay, I want to go farther back.
Ancient Chinese.
Yeah, way back.
Let me go farther back. Let me say this, Pastor Bigley.
Okay,
God is the formulator.
Amen.
He made the red deer that has the antler velvet, the bone marrow from the antlers that we're using to make this product. It hasn't been denatured with heat. It's been cold pressed. Then it's been freeze dried, which prevents the nutrients and molecules and compounds from being denatured. So it's living, okay? Just like it's in the antler when the antler's alive. This is very important because nothing dead can support life. See, ancient man used to drink living water.
Yes.
Drink and eat living food. And modern man is destroying the water and the food. Yeah. And God gave us living medicine. And this is that medicine And you know the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Psalms 103.5, right? Verse 5. God gives us good things to put in our mouth to renew our youth like the eagle, strong, overcoming, and soaring. And this is the scripture I lift up to God, asking him for the best anti-aging products on the earth there was. And this showed up in my life. And in the first month, Pastor, I put on over 10 pounds of bone density and muscle density.
Wow.
And I'm 58.
And you didn't change your routine.
I changed nothing.
It just,
in fact, I went off the other products I was spending over $500 a month on. They're all natural with the same ingredients, except for the IGF-1 part. But they're in a capsule form. I'm not going to say it was a bad product, but it's inferior because it's being absorbed through my gastrointestinal tract. And as Dr. Fong says, you can't absorb 100% down there. It's not possible.
Yeah. So
I went off it for 3 weeks.
Listen, there's people right now watching. They're saying, how do I get this stuff? How do I get this stuff? Where do I go to get this stuff? Look, folks, right there below the video, and click on neutronicslabs.com/Paul. neutronicslabs.com/Paul. Use that promo code Paul. Get some extra savings. But what I'm hearing, I need this. How do I get?
You absolutely need it, brother.
And here's the thing. It's natural. It's not synthetic. It's
no side effects.
Right.
And I love what you said about living water. Let me just throw this in as a preacher. I mean, Jesus said, I am the living water. Okay. Look, you're not going to find salvation in something dead and dying. You need the life giver. You need the blood of Christ and the living water. And
absolutely.
So you're taking this end of these dear antlers. You know, have you heard of telomeres? I'm sure Dr. Fong.
Of course.
Okay, you guys know. And whenever telomeres start growing, obviously healing comes and regeneration comes within the human body. It's very difficult for that to take place. You guys are saying that by taking the telomeres, if you will, the living portion of the growing part of the antler, and applying that under your tongue, that it's God's gift to mankind. And men, come on, it's time to be men. It's
100%.
God's gift to men. To men, to be men. Am I right, Dr. Fong? Am I right?
Absolutely.
So you're right. So the telomeres, of course, are programming from the genetic standpoint. They're the ends of your genetic code. We unfortunately lose some of that each time we reproduce the genetic code. But by taking these growth factors, we're actually putting the compounds back in there that were being encoded for in the first place. So that's what you're getting your benefit from. So you're turning around, putting these growth in there, allowing your tissues to have the increased resiliency, the increased ability to regenerate and rejuvenate themselves, which we, as we lose growth factor, growth hormone, we see these growth factors go down. That's why we see everybody saying by the age of 35 or whatever, I feel like my metabolism's slowing down. Well, you don't have to. You can replenish those things naturally and feel the best you can be, the best you can be. Because God's got a plan for everyone. We all have to be the best we can be, because we don't know when the Lord's coming back. When he comes back, we got a plan. We better be ready for that. Amen. And he's going to use us right up to that day. So I'm the one who's going to be ready. Let me tell you about this one too, because we started talking about testosterone.
I just want to ask Ron, what do you bench press, Ron? I just want to know at 58 years old.
Well, I can bench as much as I did at 24.
Woo! Okay, Bruce.
No, I don't want to brag, but I'm a strong man. But I can tell you this: my strength has increased, my bone density has increased, my muscle density has increased. In just 3 months, I've been on the products, and I have friends coming up to see me, haven't seen me for a while, and they not only can tell I've gained lean muscle mass, and my strength has gone up a lot, considerably amount. Okay, I was shocked at the results personally, but everybody's telling me I look younger. This is a legitimate anti-aging product.
Yeah.
And I'm huge into anti-aging. It's one of my specialties.
I am too. That's for sure.
There is not an anti-aging product on the planet that compares to this, to my knowledge.
All right, Dr. Fong, I'm sorry I jumped in there. Put that bottle back up there and show us what you was going to say about this.
So we started off talking about testosterone. We probably should. I'm very proud of this product because the team at Neutronics, we did all this research into the most effective natural compounds that are out there that can help you to naturally increase your testosterone levels. The three big compounds we came up were fenugreek, long jack, also known as concatayi, and tribulus. And all three have the ability in literature and the studies we show to significantly increase your production of testosterone. In particular, we're going to put fenugreek up there at the top because it does a lot of that. There's studies that show it can increase testosterone levels across the board up to 40%. From baseline levels. And so it's an extremely potent way of making more testosterone. But even more importantly is the utilization of that testosterone at the receptor levels. We talked about that earlier, about all these things that kind of block things, right? We want to get around that blockage. Well, fenugreek, surprisingly, and to a lesser degree, the other two ingredients, the long jack and the tribulus, actually affect that receptor to clean it off, bounce the junk off of it, to take in what's supposed to be there, which is testosterone itself. So that's really powerful. But get this, we added another component to this. But that was the original product. We get bored in Neutronics, so we keep reading stuff. No,
Okay.
we actually are always getting
else
feedback from our customers and our patients, and so we're always kind of looking at our formulas again. But one of the things we found is we wanted to increase circulation. Because unfortunately, some of the guys who were writing this back, well, it's not helping with my erectile. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Erections are all about blood flow. So what did we do? We figured out that in the body, nitric oxide is the most potent vasodilator. It makes your blood vessels bigger. Right. So you increase blood circulation that way. So inside of this formula now is L-arginine and L-citrulline, which are things that are just amino acids, but they're potent stimulators of producing nitric oxide, which then increases the blood vessel diameter, increasing the blood flow. So guess what? But not only is this also going to go under the tongue and get in the body really quick, along with blood flow. Uh-oh. Is everybody still there? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, something glitched there. But by increasing the blood flow, now you're making sure that what's getting absorbed is getting around the body more effectively to where you want it to go. And of course, guys have noticed increasing erectile function using this as well. So we're extremely proud of this product, the Man's Edge. And it's probably one of our best selling ones. And I want to make sure we knew that. And again, the plus this is the deer antler velvet extract, much more concentrated than the amount that's in the Man's Edge. So again, these are the 1-2 punches. But
can we use both?
We want to also. You definitely want to do both. You want to do both? Right. Okay, sorry. Both.
The deer antler, the deer antler velvet.
The spokes model.
Okay.
Yeah, that's this. That's this one.
Okay, the deer antler.
That's this deer antler velvet. That's the pure concentrate.
Okay,
and then this is the mixture using the deer antler to start with a smaller concentration, and then adding all those things I talked about. So, Neutronics Labs is just about using the deer antler as a basis for everything else that we do. So I think that's really what the understanding will be. And again, we have much more attractive spokes models than me, so I'm not good at holding these up. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. But,
well, wait a minute. Now, Ron, how much? Ron, let me ask Ron. Ron, how much do you take a day? What is your, how much is it? A couple drops? Tell us how to apply.
Well, it's all relevant to your age, your body weight, and your activity level, and your level of health, and where you're starting from. So there's no cookie cutter dose for everybody. So you should really talk to, Dr. Fong or me about that, or Neutronics Labs. But it's based upon your, personal situation. But for me, being a very healthy guy already, and I wanted to have some extreme results. So I was looking at all the data, talking to the owner, talking to Dr. Fong. So I went on like an athlete's dose, and that's why I got extreme results. Not everybody needs to do what I'm doing, but I can tell you this: if you're even thinking about it, you need it. You need to go buy yourself some. Yep. You need to go take the dose. You can get a hold of Neutronics Labs today. You can probably ask for Dr. Fong or anyone else down there can answer questions for you. And you got to do it the right way. Be consistent. Give yourself 90 days because it is a natural product. It's not going to work instantly like drugs, like taking a shot in the butt from some steroids, right? But it's important we talk about this for a minute because I'm a holistic guy. I will not put, non-organic things in my body. I will not put synthetic things in my body. I just don't believe in that route, And I won't put anything in my body if it doesn't pass all the standards that I was taught that are necessary by my doctor and the biochemist who mentored me for 12 years. And I have never seen anything more pure, more potent, and more bioavailable than Neutronics Labs, which is why I heavily got involved. And I'm sharing this with all my clients, every single one of them, because at the end of the day, right, when you do synthetic things, you will get results and you will feel better, but there's a price to pay. There's always a cost, and the cost is side effects. And you can go to any website that's reputable, and you can find out the side effects of, you know, synthetic testosterone or synthetic growth hormone or these synthetic peptides that everybody's talking about all the time. I'm not doing any of that stuff. You can't out-formulate God, brother.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
God knows what he's doing. We can't improve on what God's doing.
No.
We just got to get in harmony with God's way. And God's way is the only way for me. And I can tell you that, you know, we have something so special that it will change the life of every man and woman who starts to balance their hormones. Because one of the fastest ways to feel bad is your hormones are out of whack. And it's one of the fastest ways to feel better is get them in balance and get them at the optimal levels.
Amen.
And if we're talking about the synthetic approach, every doctor will tell you this, including Dr. Fung, that when guys go on synthetic steroids, you know, even if they call it TRT, which is really a silly name because it's not therapy to me. It's toxic to me. You know, it's toxic to everybody. Look at the side effects. It actually shrinks the testicles over time. And it makes the problem that's already there worse. So it's short-term gain, long-term pain. And when you, with all my clients, this can't be a coincidence. 20 men, including me, when from being on the product just for a few weeks, the twins are actually developing larger and producing more testosterone. There's no better evidence than that to prove that it's natural and safe and effective. And everybody's libido is going up. Everybody's gaining faster results in the gym. And also we're recovering faster from our training and our hard work. I have one gentleman who's a truck driver, right? And he came to me full of fatigue, tired, toxic. I put him on a good protocol to detox his body, get him healthy. And I got him to a very healthy level. And then months later, you know, about a year later, I get him on this product because I just found out about it 4 months ago, right? This guy drives a big semi truck and he has to unload as many as 1,000 boxes by hand every day. And it normally just beats him down. He's dog tired at the end of the day. And the other day I call him up. He goes, I just unloaded 1,006 boxes and I got tons of energy still. I'm going to the gym to work out. And he's not a 25-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
The results of this stuff is absolutely second to none.
It's incredible. It's incredible. All right. Well, let me just say this. Dr. Fong, going to give you the last word here. People, listen, go to neutronicslabs.com/Paul. That's neutronicslab.com/Paul. Type that in. Use the promo code Paul. You heard what Ron said. It doesn't take long, and you start to see results you've been wanting, results that you're needing. And men, it's time to be real men. Fong, Dr. Fong, you got the time to be real men. Uh-oh, we're losing.
All right, well, actually, let's make this a little bit even better for you guys. What we're talking about, of course, today was the man's. Oh, we good? Okay. Yeah, the man's edge is the product we're talking about, boosting our testosterone. We go to the website with the label. Then what we're going to have there is you can find this product. And if you get on something called auto ship, which means you're subscribing to the product, you get a bottle every month. You actually get 50% off just by doing that. But today, because we're so grateful for being able to chat with you guys and being on the show here with Pastor Paul, we're going to actually throw in, if you get on the auto ship today with the Man's Edge, the flagship 300,000 nanogram product of the IGF-1 is going to get thrown in. And something you get a chance to talk about, but is vital to your health, is sleep. This is called Sleep Miracle. Again, it's a formulation that we came up with as well, with all the common elements that are out there with the liposome delivery system. That is going to help you reach. One of those things that's really important is to have that proper sleep. But we didn't want to leave the ladies left out. Unfortunately, I don't have a bottle of it here, but we actually have a women's formula, which is again starts with a lower concentration, the deer antler velvet, but it has formulated by input from our female customers and patients, as well as us looking at the data that's out there. For instance, we have cranberry, which is going to help with the urinary tract. We have boron, which is an element which helps to unlock the hormones that are bound up by something called sex hormone binding globulin. It helps to balance things out that way. We also have elements like the B vitamins, B12, the folic acid. We have iron. We have vitamin D in there for bone health. So every thing that we see in ladies as we start to age, we're going to try to help supplement that along with the deer antler, which is it's worked out great. We've had here at my clinic, we can't keep the product on the shelf. That's why I don't have an example or a bottle. But ladies, if you're listening today, if you go to the Neutronics website, again, the link down below, if you check out the IGF women's formula, you'll actually find that if you same thing, you get on auto ship, it's 50% off. But we'll do the same promo with you just to keep everything even. Again, both the flagship product, the IGF-1, and the Sleep Miracle will be thrown in there for as well. And when you use the code Paul, you get a 10% off of everything. So with that, I'm going to back off and give you the final word. The final word is from 2 Timothy 1:7. I'm giving glory to God for all these things, because this is not us, this is God, and we're just helping to get it to you. Because God gave us, according to the verse, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. Take everything that we've given you here today, pray on it if you need to, but you owe it to yourself to be the best you can be. And if you feel this is the right thing for you, get out there, get to the link down below, get there, order it. We're trying to make it, give you the entire package there, so to speak, to make you the best that you can be, because God's got a plan for each and every one of you. You are set apart. You're holy. You're each part of the church. All right.
Amen. Amen. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us today and sharing with us this great news, really. And we appreciate it greatly. And folks, I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, it's neutronicslabs.com/Paul. You can go there, use the promo code Paul, and get started. Okay. It's time for men to be men. God bless all of you. Till next time, I'm Pastor Paul Begley. God bless.